It's Sunday, which means we're going to step away from the more theoretical parts of discussion when it comes to abortion and look at either some research or some interviews with people. Today, I'm actually going to be looking at research. Throughout preparing for, researching, and recording this podcast, I learned a lot of new things and have had many forced paradigm shifts. Thus, before I get into the article I plan to discuss this Sunday, I need to clarify something I said in the Wednesday episode on the morning after pill and sterilization. I had not done any research into how birth control worked because, having taken it for years, I assumed I understood mostly how it worked. But then I started having a discussion or friendly argument with a friend about the fact that birth control can cause abortions. I adamantly stated that the pill only causes your body to skip ovulation and does not do anything else to stop the sperm or cause abortions. Then, being the thorough person I am, I went home and double-checked my facts, only to find I was wrong on all accounts. From what I understand, the pill does three things. It changes the mucus of the fallopian tubes to keep the sperm from getting to the egg. Second, it puts the woman's body into perpetual pregnancy, essentially making it think it's pregnant and thus does not release an egg. And finally, it causes the uterus to be inhospitable to any fertilized egg that might seek to lodge itself there. There is a wide array of information in relation to exactly how often a fertilized egg is not taken up by the uterus. And that is the information that I had a really hard time finding a consistent answer on. A lot of religious sites gave me the answer of it happens a lot, but didn't give me any resources to actually back that up. And I couldn't actually find any studies particularly related to what's called silent abortions. So that information I couldn't find, but there is a wide variety of concepts in relation to how often that actually happens. I had stated in the previous episode that those who say the morning after pill is an abortifacient also put birth control into the same category and cause their argument to lose credibility. Depending on perspective and which perspective you see the subject in, I am wrong in this statement. If you consider conception to be the moment at which a being exists and thus is considered protected under certain state laws, then the pill is an abortifacient. However, by scientific standards and understanding, the development of the embryo or fetus does not actually start until it is implanted into the uterus. As I told my friend the next day, after conducting further research, I stand corrected. This process is an opportunity to learn both for myself and for my listeners. I have no problem coming back and saying I was wrong. I look forward to more instances in which I get to learn something new and humble myself before new information. Having said that, let's dive into this article about testing birth control when it was first invented. So this week, I will be talking about an article written called Guinea Pigs or Pioneers, How Puerto Rican Women Were Used to Test the Birth Control Pill. This was a very interesting read, mainly because I'd read actually the biography of Margaret Sanger, who is kind of the mother of Planned Parenthood, and people obviously have varying extreme views of her. I won't go into that. I might go into that another day, but we'll leave her where she's at this point. But I hadn't really learned about the way it was tested until I read this article. And the article also gave some interesting citations that I went into as well, which gave me more information. And I might talk about those later too. History does not always turn dark, but oftentimes when progress is made, there is a darker side. The birth control pill is no different. While the creation of the pill caused a sexual revolution and gave women much more freedom and choice in their lives, it came at a cost, and that debt is still being paid today. In the 1950s and 60s, Gregory Pingus started working on creating the birth control pill. He seemed to believe wholeheartedly in what he had created and honestly thought it was safe. He began testing the pill by distributing it among poor women in Puerto Rico. This article relays how there are two sides of this story. On one side, the women were not fully informed and did not know what they were signing up for. On the other side, many women were happy to be able to have some, if any, control over their fertility for various reasons. One thing I like about this article, it is quite balanced in the sense of looking at how some people did react to it and the ethical issues of it. In a previous section looking at the study of male hormonal birth control, I point out the imbalance in the price women and men are expected or allowed to pay in this discovery process. In the studies done for the pill, Some deaths and various blood clots happened, but the trials were not stopped. In the case of the deaths, there were no autopsies done to even determine if the pill was a contributing factor. And the studies done for male birth control, some of the earlier ones were stopped because of the same side effects women deal with on a regular basis now, or because one participant had suicidal thoughts. When looking at this, one has to understand that science in the past has been known to have a dark and grotesque nature, whereas the scientific process today has a much more rigorous ethical code and consequences if that code is not upheld, albeit some unacceptable exceptions still do occur. But one should not sweep the issues of the past under the rug before first being willing to look critically at and learn from the past. Especially in the area of birth control, women hold almost all of the responsibility, be it maintaining a birth control regimen of some kind, grappling with the decision and consequences of keeping or aborting a fetus, or giving up one's body, time, and life to birthing and raising a child. Biologically, this imbalance is unchangeable. Men will never be able to experience many of these burdens of childbearing, breastfeeding, etc. There are areas men can participate in that would lighten the load women bear. It's not going to be easy and it will never come without side effects, but we need to be willing to stop coddling or kowtowing to this idea that men cannot pay the same price that women have been asked to pay for decades. If you are interested in commenting about this episode or answering any of the questions I just asked, you are welcome to. You can either send me an email at lawlessconversations@yahoo.com. That is LAWLESSCONVERSATIONS@yahoo.com. You can also comment on Twitter at Lawless Convos, LAWLESSCONVOS. Finally, you can also contact me on Facebook if you just look for Lawless Conversations, 2 different words, LAWLESSCONVERSATIONS. I look forward to hearing from you. The references to any sources that I use in each episode will be available in the bio, along with all of these social media connections. Join me next Wednesday as we talk about adoption and how that option is available and what is all involved in it. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I look forward to next week.